We're Robin and Steve, and in this episode we're about to cross the Bass Strait, but I have to backtrack because I left out some footage of seals, and obviously that's not good enough. Here's a map recap with a backdrop of port hacking. In late 2024, we sailed down the east coast of Australia in preparation to cross the Bass Strait. But first, back to those missing seals. I pulled an old camera out of retirement to film these seals in very rolly conditions. So excuse the bumpy footage as we take a sail by of Montague Island to get a closer look at these seal colonies. Farewell Montague Island, and now back to where we left off, in Eden in terrible weather. It was Christmas and it had been blowing a gale. We were sheltered behind this breakwall, unlike the many broken Sydney to Hobart yacht races who were coming in.
Oh, that looks terrible.
Yeah. We have the luxury of choosing when we leave, and we're waiting for more decent weather. As broken race boats gathered, I started provisioning. Baked vegetables, vegetable soups, which taste better than they look, and citrus cake. Good snacks for a potentially rough crossing. For now, it was so rough that even cruise ships were changing their itineraries to avoid the worst of the weather. As soon as it calmed down, it was time for us to sail away across the Bass Strait, because by now we were getting a bit stir-crazy. Yeah, we've got to get out of here. In my passage notes, I've described this passage as a shit sandwich, where the bread represents an acceptable beginning and end to our passage, with a middle that was just shit. For now, the lovely first layer of bread.
Oh, there they go. Oh. You're an albatross, you just follow around, wouldn't you?
We bid the mainland farewell and said hello to a newer tear in our Genoa sail. Hang in there, Genoa. All this looking at birds and ships makes you hungry. Thank goodness for pre-baked vegetables. Not that it was very rough, yet. For a while, the wind disappeared, and rather than just bob around, we motored. These days, our fancy technology does a lot of the work for us, like calculating the nearest approach of speeding ships, so that we can decide early whether we need to change course. But some boats, like this fishing boat, turn their AIS off, so it pays to keep a good watch, so that you don't crash into ships or miss seeing an albatross or sunset. During our 4-hour watches, we find different ways to stay awake. In this case, being terribly arty to music, using headphones so that Steve can sleep. And this was to be the end of the gentle conditions for now. Steve reefed the mainsail, in the middle of the night, in the pouring rain. And now that it's rough, I present to you the platterless platter. Since fine cheese with fruit slices would never sit nicely on a platter, simply take a block of fine blue cheese and an apple and eat. Voila, the platterless platter. Addition of dried fruits is optional. As the wind and seas built, we just couldn't stay dry. Remember that sandwich I mentioned earlier? we were well and truly into the unpleasant middle. It was time to put the third reef in the mainsail. On our boat, reefing is done at the mast. The mainsail is lowered until the appropriate reefing point, or as I call it, hooky thing, can be hooked on. The mainsail is then pulled up to its new shorter height, using the main halyard, and then reefing lines are tensioned until the sail is tight. We prefer to reef early because it means that things are less likely to break and life is much more comfortable. We were going fast, with over 4 kilometres of water below. But soon some of that water made it into the boat. Such was the power of the waves.
Oh dear, I hadn't looked at the back part of the bed. Oh.
Some of our hatches needed resealing. That would be added to the to-do list. Now we couldn't stay dry in the cockpit or anywhere. It's pretty tiring when it's this rough, so we have to make sure we rest when we can and eat when we can. I was loving myself for having pre-cooked a bunch of meals. Just standing up is challenging. So just standing up was my activity of choice on this 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. watch. By now, somewhere to our west was Tasmania. At less than 2 kilometres deep, we were back in the shallows. And very grateful for having a wind vane, which, once set at an angle to the wind, keeps us going in the right direction without using any power. It finally reached the bread at the other side of our shit sandwich. We still had wind, but the seas had eased. Soon it was calm enough to take a reef out of the mainsail. That done, Steve went below for his off watch to nap in our still soggy aft quarter berth. By now, it was calm enough to do a spot of yoga, so long as I hung on. My first sunset watch in Tasmania was quite spectacular. As we approached Shootin' Passage, it was time to celebrate with our traditional welcome to new place pancakes. We have been here before, but not for a while. It was New Year's Eve and a perfect day for climbing Bear Hill on Shootin' Island. Our first walk on land was steep enough to get the heart pumping, but short enough so as to not overwhelm our fatigued and sleep-deprived bodies. With the winds due to change, we swapped anchorages to Brian's Corner, just north of Shootin' Island. So our 2025 was getting off to a great start. And although the main reason for us returning to Tasmania was to see family and friends, to haul out the boat, and for Steve to pick up his beloved sewing machine, next time you'll see that Tasmania is stupidly beautiful.